Hello everyone, and today we're going to be talking about Dragon Link. Now this is quite possibly one of the most subjective decks in the game. It's extremely complicated, and ultimately how you build it comes down to you as an individual, which is quite unique. You know, a lot of decks follow a sort of formulaic approach. However, there's no one approach that anyone is taking to Dragon Link, so I thought I might as well start working on my own. Now, what you're seeing in front of you is not the finished article. This is still a deck that I'm continually working on. I'm switching between smaller versions, 60 card versions, with milling cards like Reasoning. There's a whole bunch of different ways to play this deck. Honestly, it's very difficult to pick one idea and stick with it because there's so many viable ways of doing so. So this is more so not so much a PSA, but it's more so putting ideas out there. The gameplay we've got lined up today is specifically highlighting the addition of Destiny Hero Plasma, which I think is a really cool tech card in this deck. Not everyone is using it. I don't see it an awful lot in a lot of Dragon Link lists, and I'm not surprised. The main reason we're playing Plasma is not only is it a really powerful card, it's also searchable off of your Chaos space, which makes it it even adds that little bit of consistency. It can also be returned back to your deck from Chaos Space as well, so it does actually synergize somewhat with that aspect of the deck, which is very interesting. Again, this guy single-handedly wins games, but at the same time, for some reason, I always open up with him in my hand, and he can be something of a brick sometimes. So all I'm doing here today, throwing an idea at you for how you could potentially play the deck. I'm still chopping and changing this a lot. Take this as you will. Take this as a sort of skeleton. We're going to talk about some of the core aspects of the deck that you will want to include in your version, as well as some of the additional parts that I've added into mine that you don't necessarily need in yours. The detailed breakdown of that will be at the end of the video, so stick around for that and do watch the gameplay to get a bit of context for how these things actually function in a real sort of duel scenario, because that's very important. It's one thing knowing what the card says, it's another thing knowing how it plays. So do pay attention to the gameplay. And if you like what you're seeing and you want to see anything more, again, feel free to subscribe. We've got plenty of other videos. We have seen a massive surge over the last day in the amount of support and subscribers, which I'm so thankful for. We went from 488 on the last video up to 513 at the time of recording, which is astonishing. Honestly, you guys are amazing. Let's keep that up here. Again, we're going to be trying our best to get as much out here as we can in regards to the new ban list, keeping up with the new cards and getting as much content out there, but keeping the quality as high as possible. So if you have any requests, any comments, anything at all you want me to see, leave it down below. And what I want you to do is leave, if you're a player who plays Dragon Link, I want you to leave down some suggestions. I want you to put down sort of the ways you would play it, some tech options, some really cool combos that you would play that maybe you're not seeing in this list that you think I should try out. And if you're really confident, you can also pop into our Discord, the link to which is in the description as well. There will be a Dragon Link channel in the Discord. You can pop in, throw in your deck list, talk about it briefly. We can get a bit of a dialogue going. I promise I won't steal it. And yes, that's pretty much all I have to say for now. Let's dive into game number one. Alright, breaking our way into game number one, we have a pretty interesting hand here. Of course, you can see the Destiny Hero Plasma that I've been talking about. For some reason, I always seem to have it in my hand, which at times is a good thing, but sometimes it can get a little bit clogged. So we do have the effect veiler in hand, which is going to be useful. Looks like we're playing against Zodiac Tri-Brigade, so a top tier deck here. At least it used to be. Still very powerful. I feel like it doesn't see the play it deserves. He's going to go for Caress. He's going to banish 4. I can only imagine to summon the Shureg. We're going to cut him off at that point, negate the Caress. So he's banished all of his resources for no reason. He's going to summon the Ram, and then go into the Baron Blossom. That means he's going to get his Kit. Kit's going to go into Berberum, and he's going to get his full setup here with an Apollousa, 2400 attack Apollousa, so he can negate 3 monster effects, and his Berberum is going to search his deck for the Tri-Brigade Revolt. So we're in a bit of a sticky situation. He's got 3 negates, and he can banish a card off of the Revolt. We've only got once that we draw. We'll have 5 cards. He'll have the ability to stop 4 of them, so we're going to need to make sure we're making every card count. We're going to start off with the Rite of Aramasir, grabbing our adventure token and Fateful Adventure. We'll summon out the Black Dragon Collapse Serpent to search our deck for the Raidable Dragon. We're going to equip it on right away to pressure him into using the Revolt. That's one last thing we now need to worry about. If he didn't activate Revolt right there, we were going to bounce his Apollousa, so either way it's a win-win for us. We're not worried about him using his Sure Egg now to banish something more valuable. The adventure token was purely bait, so he's going to banish it here inevitably. He's going to get the effect of the Barren Blossom, he's going to get the effect of Nerval, and he's going to get the effect of Kit. So he's going to generate a ton of advantage off of this play as well. The Tri-Brigade Revolt is a broken trap card. It's so strong. Mills a card, searches for a card, then he gets to draw one, return one, which is really powerful in and of itself. And the Omen finally gets rid of our adventure token and the Raidable Dragon. We're going to grab the Enchantress here. We were hoping to sort of activate its effect in the graveyard to bait one of his Apollousa negates. Didn't work. Our opponent sort of knows what they're at. We're going to link summon here into the Striker Dragon. We're going to chain Collapse Serpent first and then Striker Dragon second. Again, hoping he would negate one so we could summon out our White Dragon Wiper Burster and just swing over it. But he's holding on to that Apollousa. He knows something's up. We'll summon the White Dragon, summon the Rocket Tracer, and there is Plasma. Plasma negates the whole field, steals the Sure Egg. That's now mine. I get 1500 additional attack points, 3400 into the Apollousa, taking it out, and suddenly the entire momentum of the game shifted on a single move. Our opponent didn't have anything they could do to counteract the Plasma, completely negating all of their monsters, and that is game. So very straightforward. You saw how quickly that can turn around. You didn't need to activate any monster effects, didn't need to do anything. There was nothing he could do to stop that. As soon as Plasma hits the field, its effect passively applies to everything immediately. There's no response time. He couldn't activate anything in preparation for that because he used his Revolt early, and even if he hadn't have used Revolt early, it still would have been stopping the Sure Egg. So Plasma really broken in that matchup, completely decimated our opponent. Let's get into game number 2. Alright, game number 2, and we're going second again. You know, I wish I could only be showing off games where we're going first, but that's not realistic portrayal of the deck, and I don't want to give you guys the wrong impression. We're playing against Floowandereeze. Now again, I've been talking about it constantly on the channel. How do you stop Floowandereeze? You Veiler them. Veiler is a very effective countermeasure to Floowandereeze, especially now that they've lost 2 copies of Crossout Designator. They now cannot counter the effect Veiler as consistently as they used to. So we're going to draw for turn here. We're going to Chaos Space, ditch the Nibiru. We don't think we're going to need that, but our opponent unfortunately has that Ash Blossoms, who's going to be able to stop our play in its tracks. But we do have that 1-for-1 in our hand. We're going to ditch the Rocket Caliber to summon out the Black Metal Dragon. Black Metal Dragon links into Striker Dragon. That's going to trigger our 2 dragons here. The Black Metal Dragon's going to search our deck for the Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon, and Striker Dragon is going to add Boot Sector Launch to our hand. Boot Sector Launch, of course, not serving much of a purpose right now. We'll banish the Striker Dragon to summon the Darkness Metal, re-summon Caliber to the field, and then we're going to go into Dragunity Knight Romulus, which is going to search our deck for Dragon Ravine. Now at this point we can use Chaos Space. We're going to return the Striker back to the extra deck to draw 1. We drew into another Chaos Space, which isn't that great, but it is what it is. We're going to go for Dragon Ravine here, discard 1 to mill a card to the graveyard. We'll send Destruda. We'll pay half our life points to summon it out to the field as a level 3. That's going to grab the Raidable Dragon to our hand, which we'll now discard to grab our Griffin Rider. Griffin Rider then, of course, will summon itself to the field, and the Raidable Dragon will equip itself onto our Adventure token. So we're setting up a decent bit of advantage here with the Adventure engine. So we've got the Raidable Dragon now in the field. We're going to bounce that back row back to the hand just in case. We're going to Synchro Summon into Baron de Fleur just in case he tries anything funny. Pop the Rabina, swing here for a significant amount of damage, but unfortunately not lethal. Again, we're still sort of in the learning phases of getting to use this deck, but there's still a very sort of decent replay to be showing off. We're going to go into our opponent's main phase here. They're going to go Jack in the hand. I misplayed here and misunderstood which prompt I was supposed to be taking. When I selected the Rabina, I believed I was adding that to his hand, so that was my bad. I didn't read the card properly, otherwise I would have taken the Eaglin. That's on me. Our opponent's going to go for Harpy's Feather Duster, which we don't really care about. It does hurt our follow-up, but we're not that concerned. He's going to go for the Eaglin here. Eaglin's going to search for a level 7 or higher, as well as the Rabina adding itself back to the hand. That's why we wanted the Rabina in his hand, so that we're duplicating his cards. It wouldn't be as useful. He grabs the end pen from deck and normal summons the Shri. Now with no more banished cards, he cannot chain block us, so we're going to negate the Shri to stop him from performing any additional summons. So pop the Shri, negate the summon, and he scoops it up. So he realizes that we know exactly sort of what he's up to. Floowandereeze was a real problem when it first came out, but now that a lot more players are more comfortable with playing around it, it's really not that big of a deal. That's why we saw it climb its way onto the tier list. Finished with the second highest amount of finishes for the August ranked season at around 96 at my last count. So we saw a lot of competitive success for Floowandereeze at launch, and then it began tapering off more and more as people learned to play around it. They learned the importance of Veiler, of Imperm, of taming your Ash right, of being aware of chain blocking. It was just a number of mechanics that players weren't used to playing around that as soon as we got used to, the deck's not even that much of, it's not even that big of a deal. So that does it for game number 2. Let's get into game number 3. Alright, getting into game 3. We're going first this time, and we have quite a good hand. We're going to discard Nibiru here. Whether or not that was a smart play, you tell me. But we're going to grab our Black Dragon Clap Sprint, which we'll summon. Link summon into Striker Dragon, triggering the Black Dragon, triggering the Striker Dragon, both to get searching for cards. The Black Dragon will add the White Dragon to our hand. Striker Dragon will grab us a Boot Sector Launch. And now we already have the Dragon Ravine in hand, which you don't really want to see. You would rather search it from Romulus. We're going to banish to summon the White Dragon. Chaos Space will shuffle the Black Dragon back into the deck and allow us to draw into an Effect Veiler. Fantastic draw. We're going to summon the Hieratic Seals here. Then we're going to use Dragon's Ravine. We're going to discard the Black Dragon there to send the Absol Router Dragon from deck to grave to grab us a Rocket Recharger. Now using Boot Sector Launch, we're able to summon 2 rockets from our hand with different names. Rocket Tracer then is going to pop the field spell to summon it. Then we're going to Synchro Summon into the Chaos Ruler. Chaos Ruler will check the top 5 cards of the deck and add 1 of them to our hand. We grabbed the Absol Router Dragon here. In hindsight, it probably would have been better to grab the Effect Veiler. We're going to go into Pisty here off the Rocket Synchron. Then Quick Launch is going to grab us another Tracer, which will summon out the Striker Dragon. Now Pisty here is going to summon the Rocket Synchron back out to the field, and then Striker Dragon's going to pop the Pisty to add the Recharger to our hand, and then Recharger, of course, will summon a Dark Dragon out to the field. So it'll summon the Tracer. Tracer and Striker is going to go into the Quad Boral Dragon. Quad Boral Dragon will pop basically itself. We had to discard the Effect Veiler there, which we didn't necessarily want to do. We're going to go into the Borreload Savage Dragon now. That's going to equip on the Quad Boral from the graveyard. We'll special summon Absol Router, but we didn't necessarily need to do anything with it. It would have been smarter for us to keep the Veiler, but such is life, you know, live and learn. And we're also going to finish off by putting out the Chaos Ruler, which again, arguable, you didn't necessarily need to do that, but we just wanted to make sure we had plenty of defense. So we have several interruptions, except no, we don't. So Droplet, again, there's only so much you can do about Droplet. It doesn't matter how many negates and interruptions you put up, there's only so much you can fight that off. Our opponent's going to go straight into the Numeron network. We're going to tribute the Heavenly Spheres here just so that it's not face up on the field as a 0 attack monster. And he's going to summon out his 4 Numeron gates. Now, Hieratic Seal is going to summon out the Black Metal Dragon from the deck, just so that when it's sent to the graveyard, it'll get searching for us. But ultimately, he's just going to banish everything on the field anyway, using the Chaos Gate. So that's rough. We top deck in the Foolish Burial. We send the Enchantress to the graveyard. Enchantress banishes itself to grab a Rite of Aramesir. The Rite of Aramesir, however, is not going to grab a Fateful Adventure because we banished it. Or we sent it to the graveyard earlier in the duel, which is unfortunate. So the Adventure token just gets 2k damage across the board, but it's not going to stop the Sunya. So he's going to go into another set of Numeron gates. He's going to link summon into the Invenitrack Fortress Machine. Fortunately, our opponent has limiter removal here, so he's able to take care of the token, and then he's able to swing for 8,000 direct damage. So there's only so much you can do in a situation like that. The Droplet really does hurt. And I just wanted to show this off because it doesn't matter how many negates you put up on your board. If your opponent plays Droplet, if they play Dark Ruler no more, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. So do bear that in mind. The deck is very, very powerful, especially in more skilled hands than my own. But it definitely is not without its problems. So do bear that in mind. But yeah, what we're going to do is dive into the deck profile, talk about the core, talk about the fluff, and get you on your way to building your very own Dragon Link deck. Alrighty, so having a look at the deck here. Now again, as I said before, this is one way of playing it, what I'm currently doing. I'm constantly changing this as I'm going along, but this version of the deck saw a bit of success, and there were some nice replays as you saw there in the gameplay. So I wanted to at least give some people some ideas in terms of how this deck actually works. I will be uploading a fully competitive version of the deck once I have figured that out for myself. But yes, it is a very powerful deck and is on the rise. I believe it's currently sitting at tier 3 on the Master Duel Meta website, which is again a very secure and reliable source of information. So you can always sort of rely on that. Now, what are we playing exactly? We're going to cut the fluff like we always do. We're playing double Effect Veiler, double Maxi, triple Ash Blossom. We're playing Nibiru, we're playing double Call by the Grave, we're playing Crosshead Designator, we're playing Infinite Permanence. That set of cards can be whatever you want. You don't even have to play that many hand traps. You can just play like 5 here, or you could even play none. Entirely up to you. But this is sort of more the core of what we were actually working with. Now, what are the parts of this deck that you absolutely cannot do without? First of all, Chaos Space and your 2 Chaos Dragons. So these guys are your bread and butter special summon engine that get everything going. Chaos Space is a very, very powerful card. You discard a light or a dark monster to add the Chaos Dragon of the opposite attribute to your hand. So if you discard a dark, you add the light. If you discard a light, you add a dark. Although you'll almost always discard a dark. So very straightforward, and that allows your whole play to get going with these guys. So these guys can special summon themselves by banishing a monster of the opposite attribute. So the white dragon will banish a dark monster, the black dragon will banish a light monster, and goes around in circles. Chaos Space also has a secondary effect where you can banish it from your graveyard to return a monster that cannot be normal or special summoned from your banish pile back into your deck and draw 1. So it's a nice way of drawing into an additional hand trap perhaps, and for recycling the effects of these guys to generate more advantage. So very, very powerful core engine here. This works alongside basically everything in your deck. So 100% this is the most important sort of core aspect. Now the adventure cards are of course in here. Any deck that operates heavily from the graveyard and needs that little bit of oomph when it comes to setting up their field, I would highly recommend playing the adventure engine. You don't really use effects on normal summon in this deck, so it does fit quite well. Occasionally you might use Tracer, but that's on an occasion. So Enchantress, double Rite of Aramasir, you've got your Fateful Adventure, you've got your Rideable Dragon, and you've got the Griffin Rider. So that's the whole adventure package. We've talked about that a dozen times before. You've heard everyone else in their videos talking about the adventure package. We're not going to sit here and repeat ourselves, so that's fine. These guys basically, if you want a detailed breakdown of these, I have specific videos on the adventure engine where it goes into more detail. But these guys basically, it's a 1-card engine to set up a negate and a return. So pretty straightforward. Very, very good for going second in particular. Now, where then does the deck split off? There's 2 other core engines. You have your Rocket engine and the Red Eyes. So the Black Metal Dragon will start with as part of a miniature Red Eyes engine. The Black Metal Dragon's your best normal summon, in my opinion, because whenever this guy is sent to the graveyard, he'll search your deck for the Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon, which is very easily summoned and allows you to special summon a dragon monster from your hand or your graveyard completely free of charge. So basically you would summon your Black Metal Dragon, you would link summon into your Striker Dragon, that triggers Striker Dragon to search your deck for your Boot Sector launch, which we'll get to, and it will trigger your Black Metal Dragon to search for the Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon. So off of that one link summon, you're getting two additional cards to your hand, which is really, really strong, of course. And then the Black Metal Dragon, you can banish the Striker Dragon you just summoned to summon the Black Metal Dragon, to summon the Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon, and then this will revive the Black Metal Dragon from the graveyard, and then you can just extend and link away even more cards. So the Black Metal Dragon is definitely a fantastic starter. You can also get to him through 1-for-1, which is why we're playing 1-for-1. Amazing way of getting the Black Metal Dragon. If you can get him without even normal summoning into him, you've got a good hand. So 1-for-1, and then this little engine is fantastic. And then you've got the rockets. So we're playing a few different rocket monsters. So initially we were just playing Tracer, 2 Tracer, 1 Rocket Synchron, and 1 Recharger. Those are the 4 I would say are core, because they all function within your deck differently. Tracer is your main rocket monster, so basically you can target a card in the field, destroy it, and then summon another rocket from your deck. This guy's a level 4 tuner. It's going to be the main monster you use to go into your Savage Dragon, which is going to be one of your main negates. So Tracer is very powerful. It can be very easily summoned as well off of Boot Sector launch. So what are you going to be summoning? You're typically going to be summoning something like the Rocket Recharger. Rocket Recharger, first and foremost, is a level 4 non-tuner. So that obviously works with your Tracer to go into your level 8 synchros. Secondary to that, this combos alongside your Striker Dragon. So the Striker Dragon has 2 effects. One, it searches for Boot Sector launch on summon, and that's fine. And secondary to that, it targets a dragon in the field, you destroy it, and you add a rocket back to your hand from the graveyard. Now, Recharger, whenever one of your Dark Link monsters are destroyed, will discard itself to summon a Dark Dragon from your graveyard. So basically, that means Striker Dragon is a method of summoning out the Recharger, getting a level 4 monster on board, potentially for some synchro summons or anything like that. So that's a very sort of neat piece of interaction. And Rocket Synchron is here because it's a level 1 tuner. That just comes up on occasion. Then we're also playing this guy, Rocket Caliber. You can cut this guy. He's not necessary. I've just been having a little bit of fun with him. He can summon himself to a zone a Dark Link monster points to, which doesn't come up as much as you'd think it would. To be perfectly honest, it's a decent way of, for example, if you've got the Romulus and you're like 1 extender short of going into Pisty and Striker, it like helps in that scenario sometimes. But this card is generally speaking not all that helpful, so you can totally cut that guy. He basically is just a free summon. And then to round out the rocket package, we of course have the Absol Dragon. Whenever this guy is sent to the graveyard, you search your deck for a rocket, so he's a very good target to mill from the deck. And if you happen to control a rocket and this guy's in your hand, you can special summon him for free, which is what makes Rocket Synchron so good, because he's a level 1 plus your level 7, there's your level 8 synchro. And then lastly is Boot Sector Launch. Has a couple of effects. The main one is that you can special summon 2 rockets with different names from your hand, completely for free. So this card is nuts, so easily searched off a Striker Dragon, which is your main starter, and is just generally insane. And then Quick Launch, special summon a rocket from your deck. This card is insane. This Quick Launch is basically the only reason the rockets are even here. Other than that, you would probably cut them because they're good, but they're not great. You know what I mean? They're okay. Quick Launch is what makes them really good. And that covers off most of the deck then. The only thing that doesn't cover off is just a couple of our extra little core options. We have Dragon Ravine. We're playing Dragon Ravine because we're playing Romulus. It's a fantastic way of milling out things like your Absol Dragon or your Destrudo. So basically, it's searched whenever you summon Romulus, and once per turn, discard a card, send a dragon from deck to graveyard. Very simple. So you're either sending Absol or you're sending Destrudo, which whenever you control a level 6 or lower, you pay half your life points to special summon this guy from the graveyard, and its level is decreased by the level of the monster you targeted on your field. So if you target a level 4, he resummons himself as a level 3, and he's a tuner. So generally speaking, you don't really use the tuner aspect of it too much. He'll typically just be material for a Pisty or a Striker Dragon. We of course have Plasma, you know, the star of the show there for that first game. Summoned by tributing any 3 monsters. He's an active skill drain for your opponent's side of the field, and he's searchable from Chaos Space. That's pretty much the height of it with that guy. And then Foolish Burial, of course, to trigger things like your Water Enchantress in the graveyard, Absol Destrudo. Just triggers a bunch of stuff in the graveyard, which is pretty neat. And that does it for the main deck. Again, the main deck's super flexible. Oh, sorry, Noctovision Dragon. I almost forgot about Noctovision Dragon. Whenever you special summon a Dark Dragon, you can special summon Noctovision. It's that easy. He's a really straightforward extender, and whenever this guy's used on a link summon, you can draw. So that's it. He's just special summons himself for free, replaces himself once he's used. Very reliable card. I love Noctovision Dragon. Now we're going to move into the extra deck, which is where things get a little bit complicated, because this is where the deck really comes into fruition and where a lot of disagreements happen. So first and foremost, your synchro monsters. So we're playing the Shooting Razor Dragon as a target for Crystron Hulk, which we'll get to. The Borreload Savage Dragon is your main negate on summon, target a link monster in the graveyard and equip it on. You gain counters per link arrow, and per link arrow you get to negate a card once per turn. So generally pretty powerful. He's also gains half the attack points of that link monster, so if you get him equipped with something big, your Savage Dragon is going to be big. Chaos Ruler, really good extender. On summon, check the top 5 cards of your deck. If there's a light or a dark among them, add it to your hand. He can also resummon himself from the graveyard for free by banishing a light and a dark. So he's a very, very solid way of going into our next synchro monster, the Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss, which is a level 9, and once per turn can negate the effect of a face-up card. Very, very straightforward, and very big at 3200 attack. Last for our synchro monsters is Baron de Fleur, for obvious reasons. If you can find a way of going in the Baron de Fleur, you almost certainly should, and there's tons of ways of doing it in this deck. Especially using things like your Griffin and your Destrudo. Destrudo will usually summon itself as a level 3, so it's not all that difficult to get it plus your Griffin Rider or a Noctovision Dragon or an Absol Rider Dragon, all these level 7s you're playing, to go into your Baron de Fleur. So it's not that difficult to do, so why not play one of the best synchro monsters in the game. Moving into our link monsters, you've got the Pisty and the Striker Dragon. I'm going to group them together. We've talked about Striker Dragon at length already. Super easy to summon, just any level 4 lower dragon. On summon, switch boot sector launch, and once per turn, pop one of your monsters to summon a rocket from the graveyard. Very straightforward card, but honestly it's extremely powerful, and the versatility it offers you is second to none. So Striker Dragon is amazing. And Pisty. Pisty means that whenever 2 link monsters point to the same zone, you can summon any dragon monster from your banished pile or your graveyard to that zone. Very good at recycling big powerful cards, very good at enabling synchro summons and such by targeting specific levels of monsters in the graveyard and banished pile. Hieratic Seals, easy to summon, 2 dragon monsters, bounce an opponent's card back to their hand and summon one of your dragons from the deck. Dead simple. Crystron Hulk, I don't think he needs any introduction. Summons a level 3 or lower tuner from the deck, typically going to be something like your Rocket Synchron or whatever. There's not a ton of targets for it, but its main effect in this deck is actually going to be the Shooting Razor Dragon. On summon the Shooting Razor Dragon, it's usually going to send something like a level 4 to your graveyard to then tune with one of your level 7s as a level 3. So that's the main purpose behind the Shooting Razor Dragon. He does gain a lot of utility in this particular deck. Romulus, basically on summon, search for Dragon Ravine. Apart from that, he's just a vanilla. So just search for Dragon Ravine, basically. IP Masquerena, link summon on your opponent's turn, it's pretty damn strong. And whenever you link summon is protected from effect destruction. Triple Burst Dragon is just a free link, it's just a link 3 extender. So if you can go into this guy and then go into like access code, then that means your access code goes up to 5300. And you can also equip him from the graveyard onto your Savage Dragon to really boost your Savage Dragon quite a lot. So Triple Burst is just an extender really. Unicorn, of course, discard a card to spin a card, dead simple. And lastly is our access code talker, which is your OTK machine. You will use this card a lot. This, if you wanted to be truer to the spirit of the deck, could be the Borrelsword Dragon, could be the Borreload Dragon, could be whatever. I just think Access Code Talker is the best at enabling those one-turn kills, popping a whole bunch of cards, swinging in for 5300 damage. He's really, really powerful, and he's super easy to summon in this particular version of the deck. So yeah, that's a full breakdown. That is a lot of information to digest, so take that bit by bit. You're going to want to slowly piece together a Dragon Link deck so that you don't overwhelm yourself with loads of information. Start off with your Black Metal Dragon, your Chaos cards, some Rockets, and your Adventure cards. Just start off there, slowly build it up as you're going along. Then after that, add in your quick launches, your 1-for-1s, and eventually it'll start making sense to you. It is a difficult one to pick up. I'm still learning it myself, and I will be putting up better versions of the deck in near-ish future. Again, I have a lot of other decks I'm working on at the same time, so shuffling and juggling between them all. But yeah, that's pretty much everything I have to say on the deck. If you liked what you were seeing and you want to see anything more, leave your suggestions down below. I try to get to everyone as soon as I possibly can, and you can also subscribe. You know, it doesn't cost you anything. You'd be helping me out, so why not? And that's where I'm going to leave you. You all take care, and I'll see you on the next one.